John King, USA. CNN weeknights, 6 Eastern.
Part of Herman Cain's appeal as a candidate is that he's unscripted. Herman being Herman, as he likes to put it. It's appealing, especially when distrust and disgust with politics and politicians is running so dangerously, but understandably high. But like everyone else, Mr. Cain is entitled to his opinion, but not his facts. And here's tonight's truth. He is at the edge, if not over it already, of what I will call the presidential-level discipline test. Now, this has nothing to do with today's headlines about sexual harassment allegations, although his conflicting accounts today might add to that. This has to do with a pattern of shrugging off policy blunders. Once or twice is acceptable, maybe even amusing, especially for someone new to the national stage. Mr. Cain talked of electrifying the border fence and smiled at the thought of electrocuting those illegally trying to sneak past it. Then he said it was all a joke. Then, maybe not a joke. He told my colleague Wolf Blitzer he was open to swapping terror detainees for an American hostage. Then said, of course, he would never negotiate with terrorists. And today, more evidence either Mr. Cain is trying to have it both ways or simply keeps talking in circles on one of the most emotional issues in politics, abortion rights. This is today at the National Press Club.
Part of an interview that I did was taken out of context. I am pro-life from conception, period. I have been that way for many, many years. I have not changed, and I don't plan to change.
Pro-life, period. Got it? And would he support federal legislation outlawing abortion?
Yes, I would.
Okay. And there would be no exceptions allowed. Would that be the federal and state level?
Can't determine the state level, but I would support that at the federal level if that legislation were to come to my desk.
That's clear, crystal clear. But wait.
That's a tricky question.
You've had children, grandchildren.
Yes.
If one of your female children, grandchildren, was raped, you would honestly want her to bring up that baby as her own?
You're mixing two things here, Pierce.
Why?
Okay. You're mixing two things.
But that's what it comes down to.
No, it comes down to it's not the government's role or anybody else's role to make that decision. Secondly, if you look at the statistical incidence, you're not talking about that big a number. So what I'm saying is it ultimately gets down to a choice that that family or that mother has to make. Not me as president, not some politician, not a bureaucrat. It gets down to that family. And whatever they decide, they decide. I shouldn't try to tell them what decision to make for such a sensitive decision.
The view.
No edits there, and no, Mr. Cain, nothing taken out of context. Today, it was against abortion. No exceptions. But you just heard that same man tell Piers Morgan if a daughter or granddaughter was raped, whether to have an abortion, quote, ultimately gets down to a choice that that family or that mother has to make. A choice means an exception. A choice means a right to have an abortion. And remember, today Cain said he would sign legislation outlawing abortion. Back to that exchange with Piers Morgan.
I can have an opinion on an issue without it being a directive on the nation. The government shouldn't be trying to tell people everything to do, especially when it comes to social decisions that they need to make.
So today it was I would sign a law outlawing abortion. 12 days ago, it was the government shouldn't be trying to tell people everything to do, especially when it comes to social decisions they need to make. We're going to post this on our website so you can listen again and again if you like. But there's a word for what you get when you match up the then and now on both the question of an exception for rape or support for a federal ban on abortions. That word is not, as Mr. Cain suggests, context. No, it is contradiction. And the truth is, the evangelical voters so critical to Mr. Cain's odds in Iowa and South Carolina, well, they tend to see this issue with clarity, and they frown on contradictions.